right off the bat, the biggest restriction I found was only being able to run 2 penalty box, only being able to run 2 UA stadium. Now, I could have ran one of the midfielder, but I couldn't really find a way of consistently getting it out cheaply. Obviously, you can run a draw sense low level, but it's a little bit too slow. I just found this overall better, even though you can run like a draw sense low level kind of thing to try and get that midfielder in your hands sooner. I found this overall just to be more powerful. Just running balance, you've got a greater chance of getting the penalty box in your hand, greater chance of getting the UA stadium in your hand. It's 30% for both, as opposed to like 2 in 20, so like a 1 in 10 chance. So I ran balance, trying to make, as I said, these limits as consistent as possible. And then if we don't get penalty box, what we do get is these traps that can work with each other, and they can give us something to tribute off for UA, a higher level UA monsters. Same with this. If we don't get stadium, we get Mausoleum, which can bring out these. We get a Fluter Summoning Karibo, which can bring a monster on the field that we can then tribute off. So, in some situations, it's actually better that we don't get the stadium, because the stadium is only good if you already have a way of getting out those monsters. I found Mausoleum to be a really good option for getting these out. And you can make the argument that maybe we could go for more traps. Maybe we could go like one less monster, one more of like Anguished Pattern or Tiki Soul. But as good as they can be to just sort of be defensive, because if you don't have this, you won't be able to get out of UA on your first turn if you don't have one of these spells. It's still better to just have the 2 penalty box and keep all these monsters in these ratios. That's what I've found, at least. Now, you could easily... In fact, I kind of want to make this change. Rebounder is really good. I would go so far as to say it's better than Slugger. So if, in retrospect, I would probably go 3 Rebounder just because of how good it is. And the fact that when you... on a normal summon? Or normal summon, you can special summon a UA from your hand or graveyard. So that's really good. You can tribute the UA and just special summon back that UA, or you can just normal summon it off of this, or tribute one of these and special summon one from your hand. It was really useful. I think these are better for their effects of like attacking in, but this I think is the best UA monster for this build. So if you don't know what the UAs do, as I said, that brings out another monster. This is like Armades, you swing and they can't activate effects. This, if it's on the field along with another UA monster, and that other UA monster attacks, this can give that UA monster a boost of 800 attack, and this one loses 800. And Dunker, when it swings in, it can inflict piercing damage on defense position. And you can also target, if it destroys a monster, you can target one other card on their field and destroy it. So it can take out backline, it can take out another monster, etc, etc. This Mausoleum brings out a higher level monsters by paying life points. For level 5s or 6s, it's 1,000. 7 and higher, it's 2,000. But you can't use it to bring out god cards, that's its restriction. These ones... If you summon another sort of continuous trap like Tiki Soul while this is already on the field, you can activate this to pop a card on their field, and this one protects your other traps from being destroyed. Like when it would be destroyed, it gets set back in your spell and trap card zone. That doesn't come up that often, but it can come up. Now the penalty box is really good. At the start of the... Is it start of damage step? It just says, if your UA battles an opponent's monster, you can banish that opponent's monster until your opponent's second end phase. So this is a non-target banishing. You can only use it once per turn. And if it gets removed from the field, you can banish it to search your UA stadium. So it outs Cocytus, it outs a lot of problematic cards that you couldn't ordinarily get over. A UA stadium on a UA monster being normal summoned to your side of the field, you can add a UA monster from your deck to your hand. So that's how it's sort of more okay that we're only running one of these, because they are going to be searchable through the spell. And once per turn, if your monster is special summoned, all monsters you currently control gain 500 attack even if this card leaves the field. And these can just sort of endlessly sort of special summon off of themselves. Say you have this on the field and you want this. You just bounce this back to hand to special summon it. I feel like UAs are quite familiar, so I don't need to go into too much detail. Whatever's sort of confusing at this point, we can just highlight in some gameplay and some replays I've lined up. So let's get into it. So we're going second, which is good. We have a chance to react to our opponent's board. We do not have Stadium, which means we have a way of getting out of turn 1 UA, and we have Penalty Box. And what you can do sometimes for these higher level monsters, you can use something that only takes a single tribute, aka a Slugger or a Rebounder, and then you can just special summon it, so you can get out of level 7 by only having one monster on the field. You can sort of cheat it out, but I decided to keep the Slugger on the field because of his back row, and when I swing in, it'll shut off the back row. Now this is where it was a little bit awkward because he actually has a regulation of the tribe, which kind of shut down my deck because they are all warrior monsters. And so right now I'm just going to sort of sit here. And he actually has a Jowls. Now this is obviously not a meta deck, but it's sort of just a beginner to show you what this deck is doing. It's having that Kuriboh summon or the field spell to get out the UAs. I can cycle them for higher level UAs. I can shut off cards by swinging in. I can pop cards if I destroy monsters. I can use the Tikis and the traps to tribute. And with the field spell I can search. So obviously not the most competitive game. Not versing the most competitive deck. Now we're versing one card Wonder Stall. We open up with Emperor. It's a Mausoleum of the Emperor. So we can get out our Slugger and we have Penalty Box for protection. Now we draw into Stadium, which isn't too good in this situation. You want to probably hold it until you have another UA, and it's worth using it to get the boost. And we're getting stalled out right now with lots of sets. We're getting stalled out with lots of sets, but we have a Slug on the field to turn off battle traps. Now there obviously are other cards he can have, but a big consideration right now is Lava Golem, because that's how one card Wonder Stall sort of gets over or gets around problematic monsters. So I really, in this game, just every single turn, just make sure I don't summon more than one monster. Which is going to be unfortunate since I'm stuck to one monster. So it was a tough situation. But I knew that eventually he'd run out of resources. Considering he already has 2 dead set cards in his back row. And I only need to get one more attack through. We can speed this up. And I think I decided to go in there because I had the trap set up. I could pop his monster, and I knew those 2 cards were dead. And it also turns off any Kuribohs he has in his hand. So I could go in there. With enough setup, I knew I could just go in and be safe. Now I'm going first, and I do not open very well. I only open one penalty box. It's a rather large deck on my opponent's side of the field running balance, so I'm not too sure what his goal is. I do draw Statue of the Anguish Pattern, which is a quite nice defensive card, so I'm feeling a little bit more secure. Now I have something to tribute off. With the Stadium, Summon, Search. I search Dunker because I want to inflict that piercing damage. I get the Rebounder back to my hand because I know next turn I can tribute off Dunker and just summon it back again with the Rebounder's effect. Dealing piercing, now it can't be destroyed by battle with this monster, but then I activate Dunker's effect and pop the monster. So this is a stall deck. Running Stromberg. Now he uses Mystic Box to give me a Lotus, and then I take 1,000 damage. But thankfully, I tribute that off, use the search effect again, draw myself a Slugger, which can turn off the Stromberg's effect. Easy peasy. So reversing Trick Up the Sleeve, so I'm thinking Dark Magician, although it could also be Blue Eyes. I open up with Tiki, which is a defensive option. It's actually Magician Girls. Protect my life points. I have a tribute. I can swing into safety. Or swing in safely, I should say. He activates Navigation, so it is Dark Magician, just a combo of Dark Magician and Magician Girls. Activate that super early. Tribute for Rebounder, get out my Slugger. Now, this activates on the boost, and then Rebound activates. So the monster that you're going to special summon off of Rebounder comes on the field, and then they both get boosted from the field spell. Because it's on a chain link too. Search for Playmaker. Bring Rebounder back. Swing in with this. Turn off the Chocolate's effects to special summon the Dark Magician back. Power the Guardians. Penalty box. He negates the penalty box for now, but it's only for one turn. Magician negates it on the field, but it doesn't destroy it. Now I tribute off the boosted Slugger because I know I'll be using penalty box to remove it. I won't be beating over it. Bring it back, search. Banish. Swing in, dead card, easy peasy. For the final replay, we're opening up Stadium, Tiki Soul. We have Flute, so we have a way of getting our tribute out. Now I can play Stadium first. I can summon this and also get the search. And Tiki Soul for some protection. Now a lot of players might just assume, well, I've got to play around penalty box because there is a set there. But not necessarily. And because this wasn't special summon, it's not going to be banished with, say, a Daedalus, because I tribute summoned it. And it's something I need to sort of be careful to play around. Now that I tribute off the Rebounder, I can get rid of the attack nerf of the Slugger. Boost. And I think, unfortunately, because he had a Sim Metaphys and no will follow-up, he kind of bricked. Not gonna lie, he kind of bricked. I could turn off, say, hand traps with a Slugger, but he could have had something else. Even if he summoned something else in that situation, I could have got out something bigger. And I think I would have boosted over what that monster would have been. And anything I had on the field, Daedalus wouldn't have affected it. The Nephthys, I would have just attacked over. I think I could have even got over a Tyrant Dragon. So, So am I trying to say that this free-to-play UA list is like super competitive, king of games worthy? I'm absolutely not saying that. But it's a way of running UAs very cheaply. I would say in the lower ranks, it'll still do you justice. You could play with the numbers a bit. You could try not running balance, running more of a continuous trap package to try and get out your tributes more consistently and be more defensive when you need to be. Play with the numbers as much as you want. I decided to go with balance because I thought it was the best for consistency. And obviously, as you get more copies of these cards, like this is a starting point. As you get more penalty box, more stadium, as you start to pick up copies of midfielder, obviously you're going to put them in and play with them. But all of these are rares and normals. These are farmable. These are from the card trader. And these are the most expensive things from, what box? I should mention that. Guide Genesis. So you get the UAs from Guide Genesis. These are the most expensive cards. Because of how I've made this list, they're not super essential. Obviously, Penalty Box put in a lot of work when we drew it, but it might not have been the only option we had access to. So it's good if you draw it, but with this list, it's not super essential. As you get more copies, put in more copies, optimize the list, have fun with UAs. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.